uh, branding and performance together. Okay. So, yeah, before we move on to the main part, let us quickly go through our vision, mission, and our values. So, we enable brands and startups to resonate with their audiences affordably and efficiently. Our mission is to apply branding, digital e-commerce, and design capabilities to enable brands and startups to develop world-class skills and abilities and meet their consumers' needs efficiently. Integrity, honesty, cooperation, constant learning, and principled entrepreneurship are how we get it done. So we start by doing the right thing, even if nobody is watching. We are depending on each other. We develop ourselves and others because we are a team and we are constantly learning. We drive efforts like an entrepreneur, which means we take accountability for our actions and we learn from our mistakes. All of these help us deliver the results that we commit to our clients. Okay. So today we are going to look at how to turn performance into actual profit. Okay. Obviously, we'll get to how we got to this topic, but what we want to first talk about is what we mean by performance. Okay. Now, whenever we are looking at marketing, a lot of our understanding about marketing is dependent on campaigns. And we are running these campaigns, we are doing different types of things across platforms, and we are running ads. And what happens is a lot of times companies they get pretty complacent when they're running ads and they think that the ads are great and we are seeing something good, we are seeing a lot of clicks and everything, so it must be doing great. That is not the full picture, and you will be wrong if you become complacent with it. And that is basically what we are going to dive deep into today. Now, first thing, what is this performance ROI track? Okay. Now, what has happened today is that we are living in an age of unprecedented amounts of data. Okay. We have more, data accumulated about audience behavior, about platform behavior, about how the world is happening around us, and we are absolutely drowning in that data. At the same time, companies today, a lot of companies today have a lot of budget. If we compare our budgets to what used to be, let's say even 20 years ago, it was humongous. People did not spend so much on internet or marketing as such. Okay. But bad thing is we are not seeing the growth that we expect. We are putting more money into whatever we are doing. We are gathering more insights, but it is not leading us anywhere. Okay. In 2024, actually, global digital ad spend crossed $790 billion, which is absolutely massive. Okay. That is way bigger than entire country's GDPs. Okay. And one of the things that we saw from the studies is that most companies reported to be dissatisfied with the kind of returns that they're getting on top of their ad spend. Okay. Now, one of the key metrics that we will look at here today is called customer lifetime value. Okay. What is customer lifetime value or CLV? It is total how much someone spends once they have onboarded with you. Okay. See, a customer may come to you and they can buy just once. So let's say they buy something for 100 rupees. So their total customer lifetime value remains 100 rupees. But once they are onboarded with you, once they start shopping with you, throughout their life cycle, the amount of money that they spend on your products, that is the total lifetime value. If I am shopping with platform, let's say I'm shopping with Amazon, then let's say over 10 years, I have spent over 50,000 rupees on Amazon's products. So that is my CLV, and that's a very, very important metric because once a customer comes on board, it is expected that they'll stick to you, they'll stay loyal to you, and they'll continue to buy from you and it's a very important metric. You are in wooing that customer and retaining them. And while a lot of organizations, over 80% organizations say that they track this extremely important metric, only 97% say that we are actually using this metrics and the insights that we are getting from this behavior to actually make decisions, which is a very flawed approach. And we will see why that is the case. Okay. Now just look at the numbers first.
Shruti, I want to add something here.
Yeah.
Today, most of the clients whom we deal with, they want to understand what is their ROAS most of the time. They look at every transaction as a standalone thing, and they want to get as much profit as possible. And obviously, there's nothing wrong with it that you're looking for profit, because profitable growth is what every brand expects. But the point here is that most of these organizations don't want to talk about whether the customer is coming back and buying again. Loyalty, customer loyalty or repeat purchase of the client is something they randomly talk about. And most of the focus is that how many campaigns, like we talk about this chart, they're talking about that 5+ channels and things like that. So they want to expand to newer platforms, and every new platform they add, they say that okay, I am this platform now, and I want another audience. I go to another platform, I want another audience, and they want to just keep on expanding their audience. And the idea is that how can we acquire more and more customers at a profitable price. But the point here is that not every company try to understand whether the customer is coming back. Many times what happens is that the customer come to our first platform today, and the next time they are again coming via ad. So there are no mechanisms in place to reach out to that customer, to talk to that customer, and also build some kind of relationship with them. So that thing is something which is really missing today. And brands run campaign by campaign. So I run one campaign today, and then after some time, another campaign, then another campaign. There is nothing which is happening which can help a brand uh, connect with the customer and build a relationship with them. So most of the brands only saying what is my ROAS, and that's the end of it. That's where the question closes. So what we're essentially talking about here in this presentation is that yes, short-term ROAS is fine, but how about long-term sustenance? How about long-term profitability? Whether you are able to whether you are able to get the customer to come and do a repeat purchase, that is something which is a big question today. And that is a question that we
Yeah.
are trying to answer.
Yes. Yes. I think a perspective change is needed, like Avinash said. And the real question to ask today is not, is our marketing working? If I'm getting something like, let's say, four or more than four ROAS, then we can safely assume that people are taking notice of us and they are kind of looking into it. But the real question that you should be asking is, where is this going? Our marketing is working towards what exactly? Okay. I would actually disagree with Avinash at one point. He said that ROAS, people want to look at profit and profit is okay. I would say that people don't understand exactly what is profit for the business in the long run, which is why they are very busy tracking short-term metrics. There is no harm in that, but that is not all that you should do. You have to pay attention to more things. Okay?
Yeah, I
And that
completely
is
agree
where
with you,
we are
Shukti.
coming from.
I completely agree with
Yeah.
you, Shukti. Many times the discussions are like, for example, for a lot of new and established brands, the discussion is about, running campaigns on different platforms. So running ads, which are performance ads, which are basically trying to generate more and more revenue. You know, but if you talk to these brands, hey, what else are you doing to connect back with your existing customers? And so first of all, they are silent, and then they say we're running the campaigns, no. But the point is that you know you are running the campaign, your competition is running the campaign. So what is the difference? Where is that connection with the customer? How about how about running a email campaign, or an SMS campaign, or how about reaching out to people talking about something different, something new? How about educating these customers? None of these things None of these things matter to to most of the brands. They don't want to talk about it. Like for example, one of our large customer, they have a good e-commerce website, and with our help, they were able to increase their ROAS from around 3 to around 8. But when we talk about, when we tell them that, hey, can we do some style guides or some fashion tips, fashion guides and things like that, they're like, why do we have to do that? Who reads that? When you talk about creating some videos, educating people, they really don't want to do it. Their entire social media is full of, 10% discount, 20% discount, 5% discount, new product, buy today, launched recently, inaugural discount of 20%. So there is an inaugural discount, there is a middle discount, there is an end discount. Some discounts are always going on. Now the point is that no effort in terms of educating customer, no effort in terms of making the customer understand nuances of the category, and that's become the relationship purely transactional. The relationship between brands and consumer should be beyond transactional, and that's where marketing is running only towards transaction. What we are saying that build relationship, that is something very important. The thing is that digital is maturing today. There was a time when digital was in early stages. For customer also, it was a new thing. I remember the time. I remember the time when the first phone started to seep into houses. People were really excited. But today, we believe our phones are nuances. All the time they're ringing. All the unwanted people are giving you a call. Same thing has happened to digital also. For some, it was new in the beginning. There were few brands doing it. Okay, but today every brand is on digital. So unless you do something different, you're not going to differentiate yourself. You're not going to be able to build relationship with the customer, and that's where the marketing start to move in the wrong direction. Just because everybody is on digital doesn't mean that's the right thing to do. Just because everybody is running Meta ad or Google ad, that's not the right thing to do. You need to think beyond. You need to think what else are you doing? How are you adding value in people's life? That is what every brand need to think about.
Yes, absolutely. We need to think, beyond this particular ROAS. And while it's important, we have to look at other things as also. Okay? Now, one of the things that we can tell you is high numbers doesn't really translate into actual profit. Okay, 5 times ROAS can still lose you money.
Yep.
Okay, see, the point of ROAS is it measures revenue efficiency. It does not measure business profitability. It may be you are selling more low margin products with higher returns. Okay, once something leaves your warehouse fast, but that is good, it comes back again after 2 days, then you have effectively not made any sales, but then your figures are very good. So it means nothing. Then we have cost per acquisition. Okay, if your customer is not staying with you, then your CPA, no matter how low it is, it doesn't really matter, because you are going to just interact with that person for one time in your life. Okay, this is something which you actually have to pay a lot of attention to, because the main kind of thinking that we have right now is like there is more fish in the sea, which is fine, but you also have to remember this, that the sea is also finite here. Okay, in sheer mathematical terms, if you think about keeping acquiring new customers, you will hit a wall after some time or the other. It may be today, it may be 5 years down the line, but you will hit that wall. So you have to think beyond acquiring new customers. You have to nurture the relationships that you already have. Okay, then you have to pay attention to your positioning. You have to tell people why you should buy from us and not our competitors. Okay, what we have seen is companies who undertake this exercise of clarifying their brand positioning, of actually defining their brand in a systematic way, they can command up to twice the revenue or the average category price than other undifferentiated brands in their category can. Okay, this is basically where premium or luxury kind of branding lives. Okay, you can have a great product, but if you cannot communicate why it is so great and why it is the best, then that product will not sell. And what doesn't sell cannot command any price. It cannot set the terms. Okay. And last, but the most important thing, we have to track the right metrics. Okay. ROAS, click-through rates, cost per acquisition, these are fine. These are good for starting points. These are inputs. But you have to go beyond that. You have to look at things like lifetime customer value. You have to look at payback period. You have to see contribution margin. You have to see basically over time whether whatever you are spending, the amount of effort you are putting into your campaigns or your marketing over time, is it actually leaving you in the red, or it is actually helping you grow. Okay. Optimizing for efficiency cannot make up for neglecting revenue aspects. A business does not really go anywhere if it cannot profit. That is something which we have to keep in mind.
Yeah. Shruti, so on this, from this chart, the two things that I believe that the brand needs to take out. The other, the first two things the brand more or less understand. If we tell them, you know, willingly they will accept it. Okay, but the most important thing on this chart is the positioning. New brands come. Their only thing is that I'm making this product and I'm going to give you a discount, so you should buy. That's not a pitch. That's not a story. You know, gone are the days when people used to buy because now it is available. Today everything is available in abundance. Okay, customer only want to buy those brands with which they can relate with, and cheap price is not a strategy. So try to communicate to your customers why should they buy your product. What is the reason that you exist? What is that you do well? That is something which is very very important. So positioning is something every brand need to pay attention. They need to talk about it because your positioning build trust over a period of time. It's a slow burn, but that will build trust, and that is the reason why customer will start to come back to you. That is the only reason why will customer will come back to you. Okay. And the right metrics is something which is very very important. Most of the discussion even today that we have with our e-commerce client is all about ROAS, CTR, CPAs. That's it. That's the discussion. That's the end game. They don't ask us anything else. And it has happened multiple times that I've asked them. Sometimes I ask them that, do you know what is the cost to manufacture your product? And many times they are blank. They don't even know. So calculating margins become impossible. Okay. Even if you know what is the cost to acquire a customer, if you don't know how many times the customer is buying in the entire lifetime, let leave alone the entire lifetime. Let's say customer has bought today. In the next 12 months, how many times they're coming back and buying? These are the calculations which are not available at times. And if you don't have that, you will never know how many times the customer is coming back, what is the cost, the overall life cycle value of a customer. And then you cannot take a real marketing decision. Because at the end of the day, you are in a competitive market. If you want to calculate only ROAS today, and say for example a new brand, you are starting at a ROAS of 2 or 3, on a single transaction basis, you will never make money. You will keep changing agencies, you are a new brand, customer don't trust you, you don't have any strong positioning. So on a ROAS of 2 or 3, you are making losses. But what if the customer is coming back and buying again on their own? That's when the real game comes in. The first transaction your ROAS is 2 or 3, but your positioning is strong. Customer came back and bought twice, thrice in the year. On a one transaction basis, you have a ROAS of 2 or 3, but on a 4 transaction basis, you have made a ROAS of 12. That's when the game changes, and that is what every brand needs to try. And that's when your business will start to make sense. And I've seen many customers of ours who were getting lower ROAS. They tried for a couple of months, they brought down the spends, and then they closed the businesses. So So that's what Shakti is saying, tracking the right metrics. It's very important to track the right metrics. You need to know about your business. You need to understand its health. Otherwise, you will not be able to take the right decision.
Yes. That is what we are basically talking about, that we have to know what it is costing us as a business over time, the and whether what we are getting in return, apart from whatever it is showing on our metrics, and uh, is it actually contributing to our bottom line or not. Okay, there are many brands who do very well on social media, whose ads become viral hits and everything, and they still cannot survive because ultimately whatever they're spending on marketing and whatever their costs are just isn't recovered after running their campaigns and after selling. So that is where we have to look. Okay, now the metrics that you track. Okay, what are you tracking now and what is it telling you? First, impressions and reach. It is pretty straightforward. How many people saw you? If you are running your ads, how many people saw you? Then we have the CTR or click through rates. How many people clicked on your ad to come to your website or check something out? Then we have the CPA or the cost per acquisition. How much did it cost you to get a customer? Okay. Like I spent 15 rupees on an ad, and the customer who came to my website after looking at that ad, they brought something worth rupees 45. So that is like three times what I spent. So that is what we are looking at. Then we have the ROAS, like I said, revenue generated per ad dollar. And then we have engagement rate. How many people interacted with us? Total revenue. It tells you about the top line growth. This total campaign, it got me sales of rupees 1 lakh. But whether that is enough or not, I have to decide by proper number crunching. How many active monthly users or traffic am I getting? Volume of activity on my website. We recently talked to a global leader in their field. We were auditing their website, and they have around like 2 to 3 million people coming to their website in a month, which is huge. Okay, in their industry, it is huge. Nobody is staying on the site beyond 5 seconds. So, less than 1 minute, I am going to somebody's website and I'm dropping off there in less than 1 minute, then that means I'm either not finding what I am looking for there, or the experience is not at all pleasant for me. Okay. So, even if their website had a lot of traffic, it was basically not amounting to anything because people were just not doing any transactions with them. So, these things matter. You have to look beyond the obvious signs. Now, the metrics that you should also be tracking. We are not telling you to stop tracking ROAS, but on top of that, there are other things that you have to look at. Okay. So, first of all, conversion rate by cohort. How many of the clicks that your ads got actually turned into customers? If five people click and then out of them just one bought something, then that is the conversion rate by cohort. Okay. Then we have the CAC to LTV ratio. Okay. The customer acquisition cost and the lifetime value. Are they in sync or not? If the customer, we are spending a lot to acquire a customer, but then they're just shopping with us once, then essentially we have spent more on that customer than we should have. Okay. So this is something which we have to look at, that we are acquiring a customer, great, but we have to make sure that they keep shopping with us. Otherwise, we are never making money. Then we have the contribution margin per se. Okay. Profit left after all the variable costs. Like Avinash said, that a lot of people just don't know how much their product is worth. This phone that I have, probably it costs, 100 rupees, 100 to me. Okay. And I'm selling it for 150 rupees, which at a superficial glance, I am still making 1.5 times, okay, the production cost. But then from those 50 rupees that I'm getting back, do I have enough in the accounts after I pay all the people, after I look at the marketing costs and everything? It may turn out that, considering all the marketing costs, the transport cost, and all the people I have to pay, I am left with just 2 rupees, and 2 rupees is never enough. So, apart from actually looking at your ROAS and other things, you have to look at whether your margins are healthy or not. Then we have the retention rate, which is about how many people are coming back. Okay. Brands like Nike or Starbucks, they are so successful is because they retain customers. Person who buys Nike once, chances are they'll never touch another brand in their lifetime. Nike inspires that kind of loyalty. Similarly with Starbucks, people who like Starbucks, they are into that Starbucks lifestyle and they'll keep buying from Starbucks. Okay, so retention rate is very, very important. That is like the backbone of business growth. Then net revenue retention, whether existing customers are growing or shrinking in value. It may be that you still have a database of good customers, but if they slowly start spending less and less on you, something somewhere is not working out. Then you have to find a way, you have to dive deeper and you have to find a way of making it right. Okay. Then payback period. How long before a customer repays what it costs to acquire them? Okay. In some cases, customer, a single transaction may be enough. Usually it isn't, but in some case that may be enough. If we retain the customer and they keep buying from us, let's say they bought times from us. By the third time, whatever they bought, that cost is fully paid off. Okay? Like you can retain some money after you give it to everyone, and all the marketing costs and everything is subtracted from that. So then the next two payment cycles where you're basically not spending any money because you are not showing them anything new or anything, they're just buying from you. That is your actual profit. So this payback period, it also has to make sense. If someone, catches up with that cost that you spent to acquire them after 5 years, it makes no sense. But if you can act, if that payback period is short, let's say you actually get it covered within 6 months, that makes sense. So this is also something which you have to keep in mind. Anything that stretches for indefinite time is not profitable. Okay, keep all these things in mind. What is the real customer cost that we are looking at? Okay. Customer acquisition cost is the first step in measuring that. But your real metrics of importance here is LTV or lifetime customer value. Okay. The lifetime customer value to CAC ratio should be 3 to 1 or better. Okay. If your lifetime value is actually, below 1, which means that you have effectively spent more in acquiring the customer than what they have spent in total with you. Let's say it costs you 100 rupees to get a customer, and then that customer comes to your site and they buy something for 50 rupees, then essentially you have lost money on them. Okay? But 5 or higher, if your lifetime value is 5 times the acquisition cost, okay, you should be investing again in growth. Okay, because then you have a huge opportunity. People are coming back to you, which means they like your product, they like the experience that you provide them. Whatever it is, the relationship is working. In that case, you should strengthen that relationship and also expand. Okay. Then comes the payback period. Short period means faster reinvestment. If you are able to able to recuperate your costs, so that means that your product is good, your relationship is healthy, you will have good cash flow, and it is time for reinvestment. There is time for scale. Something which is selling out fast and giving you profits, it means that you have a window of opportunity there and you should try to go big there. Then we have the action point. You must segment your targets by expected LTV per product category or audience. Let's say you are selling shoes. Okay, you are selling shoes, and there are two types of people buying it. One, career oriented women who are earning their own money. Second, young girls who are in college and who probably have their own money, but there is a big chance that their parents are. giving them. Okay. Now, which is the more important segment? You have to decide. You have to look at data. You have to use your own, instinct and all that, and you have to decide which is the more important segment, and then how do I engage them? How do I appeal to them? We are not telling you to neglect other audiences, but you have to figure out which audience responds to what and how you can get the most out of targeting each section. Okay. And understand this. The real trap is acquiring customers cheaply who have low margins and high return rates and zero repeat purchase intent. This is becoming extremely common today where everyone seems to be entering price wars. Okay. The thing that you find on Amazon, 100 rupees, tomorrow Flipkart will give you that in 90 rupees. Okay. And for the customer, it is absolutely great. But if you ask the companies, did you actually make money on that? They would say no, because we had to reduce our margin. And then that is actually leaving us at loss. So crunch the numbers, crunch honestly, and see whether you can actually afford to give that discount or not. Okay. Here, you have to also identify the hero products. What are hero products? Hero products are the products which are the most loved by people, which sell the best. Hero projects exist at that intersection of high margin, where when you sell something in that category, you can actually recover the cost, and it is comfortably placed in a way you can actually turn a good profit by selling one item. Then you have low returns because the product is good quality, people don't want to return it. Then we have strong reorder rates, which means people keep buying it, and then they should lead your acquisition. This is the product on the basis of which your company actually grows. You have to be very, very vigilant about which is that product which you can bank on. Okay.
And Shukti, this hero product is one strategy that we talk to every client. And when you tell them about hero product, they're like, but our product changes every season. And things like that. All that kind of discussion happen. But hero product is one strategy that works wonders for every brand. The 80-20 rule of the Pareto principle applies to every business. There will be 20% of the product that bring 80% revenue. You have to identify those 20 and you have to do those 20 really, really well. Great quality, great product, try to do great volumes. That's what will differentiate you. That's what will people come back and keep on buying again. That's where your cost will be lowest. That will be the highest margin product. That's what your loyal, maximum number of customer will buy. And that's what you need to understand. Every business has to understand that. What's your hero product? The other fringe products will be there, okay? But hero product is something which will actually help you become profitable. And that is something most of the customers don't have, and they need to identify that. And the customer, once they come in with the hero product, you cross sell them, upsell them, and things like that. For that, you need to use your other strategies. So
Yeah.
the bottom line is that start to look beyond a performance marketing campaign. Look at other campaigns which you are not doing. Look at what else can you do by which you can acquire customers and retain them. That is something which is going to be very important.
Absolutely. I would just like to quote, the chairman for MAC Cosmetics. Uh, I think every woman listening to this is aware of Ruby Woo, supposed to be the best miraculous lipstick in the world, the red which suits every skin tone. Okay. And Mac Group chairman once commented that every company has that one product which if they stop making, they'll go out of business. For us, it is Ruby Woo. Okay. And based on that one lipstick, which has been there for since we don't know when, that lipstick alone continues to outsell every other line in the company. And they have never stopped it. Okay. And based on that, people who go to buy Ruby Woo, their wholesale strategy is like that. people who go to buy Ruby Woo. Then the salesperson will actually say, yes, you like Ruby Woo. Now, how about something which is like a pink shade or an orange shade or a wine shade, something like that. So you as a business have to find your Ruby Woo, and you have to train your whole team so that they understand the logic and they try to build it up from there. Okay? It is not just a marketing issue, rather it should be a business focus. Okay? So think about it, do some homework. Price of divorcing brand from performance can be humongous. We often think of ROAS or revenue in terms of campaigns and sales, which is fine, but that in itself cannot give you a broader picture. And what we are doing right now is we are seeing a lot of companies actually concentrate so much on running a campaign, they forget in building the brand, and they pay that price later. Okay? Without your brand, your performance is a shrinking pool to switch from, and it pays more for every CAC. Okay, so build up your brand. A good brand acts like a magnet and keeps people coming back. Most brands treat brand building as a luxury or an expense. Okay, and if we tell them that why don't you clarify your positioning, why don't you look at your color palette and things like that, then the answer we hear is that okay, once the performance is sorted, once the sales and everything is sorted, then we'll do that. It doesn't happen like that. You have to pay attention to building your brand. We do understand that when you are a startup, you will have to make tough choices. But if you can do it, you have to do it because that is the secret to long term growth. Okay. At the moment of purchase, understand this: the brand has primed the buyer before they have even clicked on an ad. Your ad can say a lot of things. It does not even have to talk about the product features. But if someone is invested, emotionally connected to your brand, chances are they will buy from you. So build that brand, build that kind of emotional connection. Meaningfully different brands can get up to 5 times the market penetration of their rivals. Okay, so this is something which you have to keep in mind. A brand which has differentiated itself is a brand which connects. And when you have a brand that is emotionally connecting to the target audiences, that brand has laid its foundation very, very strong. And chances are other people will not be able to compete with it. The right model is not brand or performance. It is build the brand, then performance running in parallel. Okay. One very good example is Nike. If you look at the brand of Nike, okay. See, for Nike has always been a very motivating, very inspirational kind of brand. It always talks in an emotional way. This is how the brand connects with people. Okay. If we can be equals in sports, we can be equals everywhere. Equality. Okay. This is clearly talking to women and all. And if you are in that space, you will immediately resonate with this. And chances are next time you see a Nike ad, you'll click on it. And then the actual performance ad comes in. Okay. 25% off on select Nike style. Okay. Step into greatness. So by the time people see this 25% off, they are already in that zone where they say that, yeah, this is a brand which gets me, which gets my values. I will be with them. And then when they see that it is 25% off, they're like, great, now I can actually be with them. Okay. So build up your brand, build that connection. You'll see that the sales will build up eventually.
Shruti, I want to add something here. Can you go back? So, Shruti, you talked about differentiation. You talked about why should somebody buy the brand. So, I will say that this differentiation and relevance are the first two things every brand should try to drive, especially new brands. They need to they need to be able to communicate why should somebody buy their brand. The differentiation is what builds a brand. Relevance is another thing, that why it is relevant for you. That's another story. But differentiation is something which will help you build the brand That is something which will help you build your customer franchise. That's where the brands most of the time fail. They believe that if they launch a product, they'll put 50% discount tag on it and it will start to sell. That's the that's the model most of the brand follow. It's not a long-term model. Till the time you are discounting, people will buy, but you will not make money, and you will not make money. You will not run long enough, and once you don't run long enough, you'll close. So if you really want to build your brand, if you really want to have a sustainable business, like 50 said, brand first, performance in parallel. Don't just do a performance campaign thing, not the right strategy. So, say, in my mind, the way I look at it is that run campaigns which differentiate your brand. People who are seeing that your ads, run remarketing ads on them, and let them convert, and then find ways by which you can keep on connecting with the same customer again and again by various mechanisms like email campaign, SMS campaigns, SEO and things like that, and that's when the brand starts to grow. And like we talked about in the previous chart also, once that start to happen, then overall LTV start to increase, and that's when you make a real business.
Yeah. Yeah. So thanks for clarifying that, Avinash. And we have a lot of ground to cover still. So we'll quickly go through the rest of this. Then the brand clarity, this differentiation, okay? Your brand clarity lies in differentiating yourself and communicating its relevance to customers. Okay? And that brand clarity is directly proportional to your margin. Okay? Unless your value proposition is clear and distinct, your messaging won't hit home. The more generic your value proposition is, the less bite it has. Okay. And consistency is something which matters a lot. Consistent brand presentation across channels can boost revenue by up to 23% without even increasing the spend. Okay. This is very, very important. If you have to be consistent, if you have to have a clear value proposition, then it will actually pay off. Okay. And understand this, customers will not stick to a brand which cannot be defined clearly, which means higher churn, lower customer lifetime value, more spend on reacquisition. If you cannot build a loyal base, then you will keep losing customers, and in order to keep acquiring more customers, you spend more. Okay, so it kind of cuts you from both ends. Also, brand discipline is about stopping waste inside the organization just as much as it is about doing something on the market. Okay, your team has to understand what to focus on. Your team has to understand how to sell a product, what is the messaging to give out, just as much as your, outside the circle, the sales and other channels that you have to look at. Clear brand compresses the sales cycle. Your sales cycle shortens and you bring in more money. The shorter the sales cycle, the more profitable the business is. Buyers spend less time evaluating and more time deciding, and chances are they'll decide in your favor. Here is something which I want to show you, because this is, I would say, it is reaching almost endemic proportions in the internet era. Okay. We have brands which actually don't have a value proposition but want to be clever. This is a cereal brand called Surreal. Okay. And Surreal ran this campaign which was like, Serena Williams likes our cereal, Michael Jordan loves our cereal. Okay. So it is like, we have very famous people who are buying our cereal. But then if you read the fine print, who is Michael Jordan? He's just a normal bloke who lives in St. Albans, but he does really like it. I'm sure this is very, eye-catching. You look at it and you're like, oh, wow, good joke. But then why should I buy? It gives me no reason to buy it. Okay, it is something, this kind of market marketing is becoming, unfortunately, extremely common, where it feels like marketers are marketing to each other. They are like, what a nice copy, what a clever copy I have written, and it is so clever, but it does not actually sell. On the other hand, you look at it, another cereal brand, Wheaties, which says that this is the breakfast for champions. And then we have Serena Williams there. Okay, award-winning slogan and a very famous campaign, very famous brand. Here, actually, it sells because it tells me that this is something which will give you energy, which will power your drive, your determination to actually be on this. See the clear difference. Your messaging matters. Have a proper value proposition, have that relevance in mind. So,
In fact, Shakti, I
how
would
do
say
we
that
actually get there?
the previous campaign, the Michael Jordan campaign, that's not being true to your customer also. It's sort of it's sort of cheating them or tricking them into buying it. And when once customer understand, they will not like it. If you tell me that buy this product because Michael Jordan buys this and he loves, and if I don't pay a lot of attention and I actually end up buying it, and after that I realize what trick you have played, I will not trust the brand, and I will say that the trust is the currency that's driving the world today because there is too much noise. So doing something like this is the so-called tongue-in-cheek kind of campaigns are actually detrimental to brands trust over a long term. So tricking by being clever with customer is not a long term strategy. It's something which will actually erode your brand in the long run.
I would actually pause before that. I would say that it will not trick customers to buy. All it accomplishes is making people look at you. And looking at you is not the same as buying. People will look at it and people will be like, okay, fine, but then why should I buy? There is no, it gives me no reason to buy. It will not lead to sales, and it did not lead to sales. Okay, so be very aware. Any publicity is not good publicity. It's not enough to make people look. You have to make sure that they are impressed, or you have a point which actually resonates with them. If you cannot do that, then good luck. Then how do we get there? Okay, how do we shift to profit driven frameworks instead? Okay. From only efficiency metrics, you have to go to profitability metrics. Okay. Contribution to margin per sale. This is what you also track. Okay. How much profit remains after every variable cost, not just after ad spend. You track LTV with CAC by LTV is to CAC by product category and customer segment. It is not enough to just track them overall. Clearly segment them, because with that you have clear insights into each customer group, and you can fine tune your campaigns and your messaging accordingly. Make your payback period visible to the leadership. The CEO or the brand owner of the company, they should understand how much time it takes for their product to actually make them money. So this should be very clear. Then we should have the marketing KPIs aligned with profit and loss. Number crunching will never be irrelevant. It is important. On top of everything else, you cannot just forget basic maths. The next shift that we have is from fixed budget to demand responsive investment. Don't keep budgets fixed. Okay. Some people come to us and they say that I have 50,000 rupees and that is all you get to spend. No, the ads are performing real well. We are seeing that your dinnerware is actually selling way more, and let's say your clothes are not selling as much. So don't stop at 50,000. Give me another 50,000 bucks. I will put it in the dinnerware campaign. What you at the end of the day, it is getting you 10 lakhs rupees. Don't keep budgets fixed. Spend as long as you can make a profitable return. This should be your strategy. So keep tracking and keep understanding which campaign demands more. Match spend real time demand signals. Okay. Paid search, seasonal trends, category intent data. Look at all of this and then see where you have the scope to scale. Okay. Allocate budget accordingly. Identify your hero products and concentrate your acquisition spend behind them. Because chances are, if people are returning to these products, then new people who check this out, they will keep returning as well. So the hero products have to be played up, and kill spends on campaigns which are not working out. That is getting you a lot of low margin customers or high churn customers who are returning things or who are never coming back to you after that first sale. It is not worth. From campaign thinking to customer lifetime thinking is the third shift, and it is the most important. You segment your customers by profitability, not just demographics. Okay, this is very important. A lot of time when we track things or when we execute campaigns, we forget that psychographics matter more. Compare people by buying behavior, not just demographics. Okay. Then you build retention into the marketing strategy from day one. Know when to ask for reviews, know how to nurture them, send them reminders, give them discounts and other things, have your loyalty programs in place and everything. This helps. Over time, it will build up. Focus on net revenue retention. This is very, very important because how much a customer shops with you over their lifetime really matters. And use post purchase marketing to reinforce brand choice and reduce buyer's remorse. So ask for feedback, get back to them, uh, ask if they are facing any difficulty. If possible, you can actually try helping them out. Uh, it is said that when Nike actually started, they had a salesman. That time there was no internet or anything, right? So he used to go to the track athletes and he used to tell them to buy their shoes, try out their shoes. After some time, like let's say 1 month or so, they would go and he would go there and he would ask that, how the shoes are. At one time, what happened is a lot of athletes said that, the construction of the shoes is such that I am facing this problem and it is getting like glued, it is coming unglued at one part. What this guy actually did is he got all the shoes from them, he got them repaired and he sent it back, zero cost. Okay, company incurred a loss. What happened after that is the athletes who were there that day, who could return the shoes and they got the things back without any additional cost, they remained loyal to the company for their lifetime. They also referred others to Nike, and Nike eventually expanded their base. So understand where your customer is coming from, meet them, satisfy them, make sure that they feel appreciated and nurtured. Okay, that is where the magic is. A customer who feels seen, who actually feels that the company cares for them, will stick with you. Okay. Now, metrics for business owners. What are the things that we have to track? Once you make this shift, but yes, I'm going to track, make things work differently. First, okay, customer acquisition cost. Total spend to acquire one new customer. Why should you track it? It tells you the price of growth. The red flag that you have to consider is that CAC is rising quarter or quarter with no LTV improvement. This means it is becoming more difficult for you to get new customers while the customers already with you have stopped shopping. This means your business is going down. Okay. Then we have the conversion rate. Okay. Percentage of prospects who take the desired action shows how well your whole thing is working. Okay. But if you have high traffic and low conversion, that means your funnel is broken. People are coming to your page, they're not buying anything. They are either being misled or they're just not satisfied with the experience. So something has to be changed somewhere. Average order value, average spend per transaction. High AOV means more revenue without spending more acquisition. Now, flat declining AOV signals when people are actually buying with you, but the amount they used to spend with you has gone down. That is also something which you have to look at. Okay, why are they not buying with you as much as they used to? Maybe your quality is deteriorating. Maybe something else is in the works. Think about it, talk to your customers, figure it out. Gross margin, profit remaining after cost of goods sold, reveals how much room you actually have to invest in growth. If you have just 5 rupees left with you after deduct every cost, that is not enough. But if you have 100 rupees left with you, that means you are making enough money to expand your business and grow it. Okay. If your margins are compressing, While your revenue grows, that means you are entering crisis mode. That means you're discounting too much or whatever. But if your margins are under pressure, that means you are moving away from profitability. Revenue means nothing if it cannot offset costs. Keep that in mind. Okay? Then net contribution margin. Profit after all variable costs, returns, discounts, fulfillment have been calculated. This shows you the best possible picture of what sale actually earns. Okay. If you have good ROAS but weak contribution margin, you have a ROAS of 15, but then you are saying that your margin is like very, very less. That means you have fallen into the performance trap. Your ads and your marketing is working really, really good, but there is something fundamentally wrong in your pricing model or your business model. And that is something which you have to think about. Second, intermediate kind of metrics. The retention rate, okay, percentage of customers who return and buy again. This is the most cost efficient growth ever available. Okay. Below 30% retention rate in e-commerce is actually worrying because you are living in an age of intense competition. If people are not coming back to you, it means they are shopping somewhere else. And there is so much of chaos in any niche today that people, once they stop buying from you, they will forget and your brand will disappear. Okay? So be very, very careful here. Customer lifetime value, total net profit expected from a customer over time, tells you what a customer is actually worth, not just something from day one. Okay? And low lifetime value means you are on an acquisition treadmill with no exit. You keep acquiring customers, but they don't stick to you. So you are just losing as much as you are getting, okay, which essentially leads to nothing. Okay? So it just becomes a cycle, and that is it. Payback period, time taken for a customer to repay their acquisition cost. Shorter periods means healthier cash flow and faster reinvestment. If payback periods are longer than 12 months, then your business is under pressure. Okay, your capital will will be under pressure. Keep that in mind, and all top leadership in all the companies, they should be aware of all these metrics. Then we have the advanced metrics, the LTV to CAC ratio. Okay, how much are you spending on acquiring a customer versus how much they are spending on you throughout the life cycle. Below 3 to 1 LTVs to CAC is a big warning sign. Okay. If you are not even recovering the acquisition cost from the sales, total number of sales, then something is very, very wrong in the whole process. You are losing money on every customer. Net revenue retention, whether existing customers are growing or shrinking in value, you have to keep tracking about that. If your NRR rate is above 100%, it means that your existing base is compounding revenue. They're buying more. They're not only sticking to you, they're buying more, which is great. But if it is falling below 100%, this means that you are slowly leaking. Okay. It means that your churn is outdoing your acquisition work. Okay. Sorry, undoing your acquisition work, and you have to plug that gap. Net profit per customer cohort, profitability of customers acquired in the same time period as you segment them, reveals which channels are working best for you and the periods that produce truly valuable customer. Are you selling more during summer or during Christmas? Okay, are you selling more with people who are in the 30 to 45 age bracket, or are you selling more to people who are 20 to 30? Okay, what is the amount of money that they're spending? All of these come into account, and cohorts from high spend campaigns often look great early and collapse after 6 months. Okay, it can be that you are spending a lot on campaigns and you're getting a lot of customers, but then they are not profitable, and after 6 months this campaign will eventually lose you money. So keep an eye out, keep tracking these metrics real time, and keep number crunching so you'll know what is going wrong and where you can step in. Okay. So as we said earlier, okay, brand clarity is always proportional to your margins. Okay. Build your brand to predispose more people, and make sure that they are ready to invest in your brand when your ad comes in front of them. Okay. Brand works on future buyers before performance can reach them. So you have to keep that in mind. Second, be present at the moment of decision. Mental availability alone isn't going to be enough. You have to be seen. So here you have to talk to agencies who specialize in targeting precisely, and they show your ads to the audiences at the right time. Strong brand and strong activation campaign wise, this is where growth rate happens. Okay. And performance works best when the buyer is already primed. So if they are in that headspace and you show them your ad at the right time, chances are you'll make a sale. And understand this, you justify your price. Okay. Your brand has to be clear enough, it has to be positioned in the right way so that people say that okay, this is why it is worth it. Okay. Brand seeds trust, and like Avinash said, trust is everything. Okay. It creates value in the eyes of your customer. And that's what protects your margins. And you retain the existing buyers because retention is everything. Like we said, you cannot infinitely keep acquiring customers if you keep leaking them also. Okay. Your funnel will primarily be broken if you follow that, if that is what is happening to you. And your ads reach existing customers, so make that count as well. Every customer has a lifetime value, not just a first order value, and you should be prepared to make the most of it. Okay? And lastly, every question you should ask, are our best performing campaigns actually profitable or just efficient? The real test of a campaign isn't how cheap the clicks are, it's how profitable the customers were 6 months after acquisition. So if you're a business owner, ask this question and look at the records so that you have an clear answer to this. What is the LTV is to CAC ratio of the customers we are acquiring? Single ratio tells you more about the health of your marketing than any other metric on your dashboard. Different products, channels, and customer segments produce very, very different ratios. So you have to know which are healthy. That way, you will know which segments are worth investing in and which you can do away with. And this is where the CEO can take calls. This is what should matter to you the most when you are making marketing decisions. And lastly, is our brand clear enough to command the price we are charging? A fragmented brand thinks of price being what it is. Okay. It thinks that if we give people a good enough deal, they will stick to us. It doesn't happen like that. Okay. In the same price bracket, people still form loyalties. So why does that happen is where you have to get into. Right? Brand clarity is not a marketing problem. It is a CEO level strategic priority. So invest in branding, figure out your positioning, clarify it, and make sure that you're implementing it right. Because this will directly affect your pricing power, your acquisition cost, your retention rate, and ultimately your profitability. So invest in your brand, building it, and then make sure that your performance campaigns are actually making your money. Okay. So with that, we come to the end of the presentation, and let us see if we have any questions. Okay, so I'm sorry, the server is a bit slow now. So Tonmoy asks, what's a good benchmark for payback period in e-commerce? Okay. And see, e-commerce is a very, very big field. It will depend on the kind of product you have, what is the industry standard and all. But I believe if it is more than 6 months, then that is a red flag in most cases. Avinash, what do you think?
So Shakti, that is true. So if the product is a repeat purchase product, it could be 6 months. But for say, for example, products like color television, okay, where the customer might buy today but may not buy again for probably say next 10 years or 15 years. So it depends on the category. But still, considering the fact that if we talk about e-commerce, and let's assume for fast-moving products, yes, 6 months is a good benchmark. But it really depends on the category to category, and uh, and it also depends on the industry as well. But yeah, 6 months is a good benchmark.
Yeah. And Tanmay also has another question, which is what's a healthy retention rate for most e-commerce businesses? Uh, I don't think I have a clear answer to that. Avinash, would you like to go ahead there? But
Yeah,
I
so
think around probably 35 or 40% will be good.
yeah,
Probably, I think.
yeah. I would say a healthy brand will have a retention rate of anything between 30 to 50%. Okay, and I think every brand should aspire to have that kind of retention rate, and you should calculate on a regular basis that what's your retention rate. If you're not able to calculate your retention rate on a regular basis, that's a clear red flag. Because what happens is that also shows the competitiveness of your business, competitiveness of your brand promise, and so you should regularly calculate that and then see how it is moving.
Yeah, true. And then we have another question from Gauri. It says that how often should brands reevaluate their LTV to CAC ratio? So it really depends on what is changing in the business, I believe. See, if you have the same product and it continues to sell well and everything, you are getting routine sales, the reviews are good, everything. If you have innovated that product, you definitely have to give it a time. Okay, and this all depends on like the industry that you are in. But overall, I think you can review it maybe once in a year for every segment, and definitely you should track it every time you upgrade or innovate. I think
Shuk-
that
Shukti,
that
if you
would
look
be a
at,
good.
yeah, so I think Shukti, you are right there that, but it will depend on the competitiveness of the industry also. So in the competitive categories, a running track on a monthly basis should be very useful because it also tells you how your business is moving. Sometimes what happens that we are not able to understand how the business is moving, and if the competition is intense, you might have started to lose customers. Okay, but because you're acquiring new customers, you might not be able to understand what's happening. So if you run a regular track, it will be very useful, and this is something which every brand should be able to calculate on a monthly basis. And I would say the month on a month by month basis, it's a good matrix to check.
That makes sense, Avinash. Thanks for correcting that. And I think this is especially important when you have the peak season in any industry. So that is also something which you can keep in mind. But
Yeah,
definitely track it every quarter. If you
yeah,
feel that some are slow seasons or whatever, but definitely track it every quarter.
yeah. Sometimes what happens, Shakti,
So
that
I,
brands don't
yeah,
don't even see it. They don't even want to see this picture because this might not look very great, might be very ugly, but this actually communicates the strength of your brand. If your LTV is not increasing, it's a big issue. It's a big issue that you're not able to retain your customers, and if you're not able to retain your customers, you're not going to be profitable in the long run. So this is something
true,
which is a very important matrix.
true, absolutely true. And I think here we have reached the end of our questions. So thank you for being patient with us. Today we were facing some connection issues, but we hope that it will be better last time. And yeah, see you again next time. So thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye bye.